Hello, everybody out there in comic book land. If you're here, you can only be here for one reason. It's a brand new episode of Major Previews, where we look deep into the solicitations, deep into the future, open up our third eye to find out which comics are going to be the latest and greatest ones to hit shelves. We are your cheat sheet for what comics you should be picking up and you should be reading. And my name is George Serrano, aka the Don, and I'm never alone. Sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
It's Alex Garcia, aka the Cog, and I'm always happy to be here with you, George. Where the party at, man? What's going on?
Well, the party's always here when we're talking, and the party is about the comics that will be hitting shelves in October. And we are in an embarrassment of riches when it comes to comic book readers at the moment because there's a groundswell of creativity happening, almost similar if you're a professional wrestling fan, like talents being signed to long-term deals, being promised the world. Matchups are being, kind of shown off to this fan base. New designs, new origins, new characters, new teams. There's an excitement that I haven't felt in quite some time in comics, and I feel like with this now new groundswell, it's now more important than ever to have major previews to help these people find their way through the multitude of books that are being released, not only from the big two, which some people can be excused for only paying attention to, but also the beating heart of indie comics, which I know is near and dear to you. But I wanted to go ahead off and start off. If you guys never seen major previews, it's been some time. We like to go ahead and give each of us will give 5 picks for which comics we think are going to be the latest and greatest things to come to comic books. And I'm going to start off mine with the elephant in the room, the DC All In special. So, coming out October 2nd with a creative team of writer Joshua Williamson and my boy Scott Snyder, more on him later. Art by Daniel Samperi with Wes Craig and Dan Mora, who's also been killing it, man. Dan Mora's been absolutely killing it over at DC. And this is basically the culmination of the ending of Absolute Power, which was a means to an end. Ultimately, it was to create these two sort of worlds for DC to live in. The mainline continuity, which would be called DC All In, which is getting almost a facelift, newer, hipper, hotter stuff to come for the DC All In of it all. But simultaneously, it creates a different universe called the Absolute Universe that is having its first stories being told concurrently with this rebrand of All In. It's giving fans almost the have your cake and eat it too of it all, where you can continue on established characters in their established timelines and follow them to new heights, or you can actually go and start brand new with a brand new version of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and more. Some major announcements from this publisher dropped during New York Comic Con, and they have a huge direction that they're going in, and it all starts with this all-in special. So according to them, following the events of DC's blockbuster storyline Absolute Power, the heroes of the core DC universe have fought against the deep divisions in the world around them to usher in a new era of unity. And just in time, too, because Darkseid has returned. Darkseid is. Superman must gather every hero on Earth to hold the line against a very different version of the Lord of Apocalypse. It's been teased that this Lord might have had some dealings with the Spectre. It's also been teased that the Justice League has completely opened their ranks. Everybody's welcome, baby. We're going to Justice League Unlimited routes. And so this is what starts it. There is, like I said, there's a rumbling outside. The growing pains of a new universe are rumbling. And this is patient zero. This is square one. This is ground zero for all that is to come from DC. People pick up this book. This will be a landmark moment for the future of both of these series, whether good or bad, because sometimes it's going to even have some of the introductions of bad ideas line wide because they're unique, in that sense. But DC is a publisher that can anger me sometimes as it really tries to wrestle with its identity between its long-standing established characters and the new hot hip ones that people really gravitate towards. This to me, like I said again, feels like it's having its cake and eating it too, and it sets up both universes wonderfully. So go ahead, people, go out there, grab up the DC All In special out October 2nd. But what do you think about what's going on over at DC with All In?
DC, you guys know if you've been watching our shows, if you talk about it in general, if you follow me, I'm not a DC guy. A couple years ago, we did Future State,
Hmm.
and it was painful to go through.
That was
I've already
another
talked about,
initiative. Imagine the
yeah,
person who has every DC Future State comic.
I did. I happily sold most of it.
Right, right.
And, I was there for New 52, for Rebirth, even before that for Zero Hour. DC constantly pulls me in and then almost pushes me out. This is the first time since New 52 that I want to read everything. And not just their absolute stuff that's coming out that sounds unbelievable, but even the stuff for the all in, the people,
Hmm.
the creative teams that are coming in. And I also want to give big ups to DC because to me, one of the people who just to me didn't manage DC well was, and I'm sorry, we're positive bunch here, but Dan Didio to me just did not manage DC well. If you look at some of the creative talent that he was managing, you sit there and wonder how could you keep dropping the ball? How can you have a New 52 and then somehow mess it up? And then do
Hmm.
Rebirth and somehow mess it up? And then don't even get me. We did Future State, man.
Yeah,
He was still behind
that was
that.
supposed to go to 5G.
Yeah, whatever happened to that? I think it's kind of happening now, but we're doing it from the perspective of people who truly understand comics and whose egos are able to step back. For me, and I sat through a few Dan Didio panels through Comic Cons, and it just felt like, all right, man, like you think you know better than the creative talent, you
Or
know,
the fans sometimes.
or even the fans. Jim Lee, we covered it live, a lot of the DC stuff from New York Comic Con, and Jim Lee sounds like he gets it. He's a guy who I don't know if you guys remember, but he helped start Image Comics,
Yeah,
so he gets it. And this is a guy who took X-Men to the next level. He, even though he is, you say Jim Lee, and people still give him the greatest amount of respect. You can tell even in the panel that this is a guy who goes, "Yo, I know what's good, and I know what's so good. I'm gonna step back and let the new guys do what they got to do because
yeah,
I know they're gonna do a good job." And the stuff that he's just letting these people do, it sounds amazing. And again, I'm not the DC guy, but this month, if we were allowed to do 20 picks, 10 of the picks easily would be DC.
yeah.
So this all in thing, if you want to get in on DC like me, like the Don over here is, this is the book you got to get.
Definitely. And it is allowing good creators to just write their stories. It can feel very locked in with DC because again, some of these characters are 80 years old. People just kind of want to see certain things from them. But that's why I'm saying that with the introduction of the Absolute Universe, which I might be talking about soon, spoiler alert, um, you get to have your choice. And as somebody who stuff can get kind of pricey. It kind of good for like you to buy the chocolate and I buy the peanut butter, and then I'm like, how was that? Okay, was that good? Okay, let me now I'll dip my toe in the other side.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm super excited for that.
It's get it, guys. I already can we say this? Can we say George? We're
Yeah, we're
doing
a
this
bit
one a
late.
little late. We're a
Yeah,
little late. We're a little late. But I know I got the issue. You
I
got the
have the
issue
issue.
probably by
Yes.
now.
Hmm.
It's great. It's great. Like I said, this issue made me go, what else am I gonna buy from
Yeah.
DC? Oh my God, here we go again. Hope, but keep me in DC. Keep me in.
Yeah. 100%.
Uh, but let's go to the other universe.
All
Let's
right.
go to the other universe with my first pick, guys. I know this pick is controversial. It's because this guy is just near and dear to me. And I've, for the most part, and I know I'm in the minority with this, I, for the most part, have enjoyed this guy's run. Amazing Spider-Man number 60 by Zeb
Oh,
Wells by
interesting.
and by John Romita Jr. and I believe even Ed McGuinness. It's the end of the Zeb Wells run. So you can either some people are excited because yay, it's over. Some people are excited because yay, get them the hell out.
Yeah.
For me, I've talked about this a couple months ago. It's finishing with a giant brawl between Spider-Man and Tombstone, which has been by far the best part of this run. So to see a classic just beat 'em up between Spider-Man and a villain like Tombstone who can take the beating that Spider-Man can give, and these two for 60 plus issues of this run have just hated each other. Have been forced to work together in some situations, have traded some blows here and there, but now to see them in this last issue just go at it, I can't wait to read this issue because it's like, all right, good. It's gonna end well, like Zeb Wells.
So would
And
you say that the ends justify the means?
yes, yes. I want to believe that in the coming years, this run, if you're a street level Spider-Man person, a person who doesn't want to read Avenger Spider-Man, a person who doesn't want to read, spacefaring Spider-Man, who wants to read Spider-Man doing stuff in the city, this is going to be the run you go, here, man. Here, check out most of this run. And it's just about Spider-Man like dealing with street level thugs, dealing with Tombstone as the new kingpin of New York. I dig it. On a whole, I dig it.
Where's Fisk again?
Fisk right now is, I believe, running the hand
Interesting.
still, right? I believe is yeah, or he's doing like mystical level stuff because after Devil's Reign, he's just been like, all right, I'm on this next level. Because
Right.
even in this run, he says, I'm not trying to fight for New York. I'm just fighting for like respect. And I think he was trying to like just save one person.
Okay.
But he kind of looked at Tombstone at one point like, they take it, man. And
Yeah.
and also not just saying take it, but at the same time saying like, when I want it, I'm gonna get it back.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because
Sounds like him.
that's what's gonna happen eventually in the pages of Daredevil or whatever. Because it's the Kingpin. But for right now, I've always been a fan of Tombstone, whether in the comics or the cartoons. He's been a fun second tier mob boss. So for him to be getting this level of shine, I've been having a blast with it. So I recommend getting this issue.
I would recommend getting the issue as well because of how opinionated people have been about this run and this book. I've heard people theorize that there are sabotaging this book to put more light on Ultimate Spider-Man. I heard all the conspiracy theories, but
Oh
maybe
yeah.
Zeb
Oh
Wells is just telling his story the way he wants to. Yes, the Todd Phillips, right?
the Todd Phillips. Also, no, not just that, but the sabotaging Sony to say,
yeah,
hey, Sony, we're not going to give you good Spider-Man stuff to make more movies out of. They're kind of giving him the X-Men treatment a little
yeah.
bit.
Oh, yes, Fantastic Four. They just disappeared off the shelves for years, and they're not going to make Spider-Man disappear off the shelves, so they had to. They're giving all the good stories to Ultimate Spider-Man. But as he tries his damnedest, Zeb Wells came off of Homeboy's run, 10 years, no slots.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But Zeb had also done like step-in stories, like done a 3-issue story arc here, a
okay,
3-issue story arc there. So I didn't mind, and then I believe he even was like half of the run when Ben Riley recently had the mantle before he was Chasm. Like that
okay,
led into him becoming Chasm. Then they let I think somebody else do a little run, and then they said, "Yo, Zeb, this 60-issue run is yours now."
okay.
Like he earned it. And I dig it. And also, spoiler, my backdrop right now, guys, is what this run is leading into. We'll talk about that
Interesting.
next month. We'll talk. And who doesn't like
That's
Doctor
the
Doom?
that's not only Doctor Doom, the Sorcerer Supreme Doctor Doom. Am I correct?
Yes, it is.
Look at that
What's that
eye,
on his? Ooh,
the all-seeing eye. Yeah, big stuff happening over there with Spidey. And like I said, when the characters have been around for that long, it's incredibly hard to reinvent the wheel, especially when most people came to see the wheel. We're here to see the wheel. That's the wheel. Why is it now shaped like a triangle? Stop changing things. Um, and so you kind of need allowance to make huge sweeping changes, and I think that's what Ultimate Spider-Man allows for. And kind of goes into my next pick. Absolute Batman #1. Now, this is the belle of the ball. This is what everybody's been talking about. This is the first comic book I have ever written a review on. It obviously has sparked something in me. I have recommended more Batman books to the general audience through Major Issues podcast, through here. It's just a character I love. I love the Bat family. I love the lore. I love everything Batman. I would say Batman and Spider-Man, up there as some of my favorite comic book characters. And there was a bit of me reading this with my arms crossed, and even the concept when it was when it was kind of brought out, because again, I've been through my share of reboots. I've been through my share of Elseworlds. I get it. Oh, so no, the mother's the Joker this time. You get me? Like I get the whole like trying to start from scratch and remove the parts. The Batman White Knight. I read the otherworldly Batman stuff, and this feels like something monumental because the aspects that they are changing about Bruce, in my opinion, are probably, I wouldn't say the most problematic aspects, but I would say the aspects that don't age the best. I think that what people rub up against wrong now, or rub up against in the wrong way now with Bruce, is that he's a freaking billionaire. He's a billionaire. And we know enough billionaires to know that they don't give a damn about us. And we also know enough billionaires to know that if he's a billionaire, he shouldn't be focusing on one city in one in one town, doing and dealing with crime person by person. Feels very strange with the man with all his things. And I'm not one of those, oh, Bruce Wayne needs to get. I've heard a million of the excuses as to why that wouldn't work anyway. But by having this Batman without the mansion, without the money, without the butler, you know, um, starting him from scratch, there's a bit of me that wonders if this Batman is going to be end up one day being more relatable in the grand scheme of things. And then what does that mean? Do we start doing more absolute Batman stuff and less mainline Batman stuff? Maybe we can let Dick be Batman for a change. Sorry.
We've
We
done that
just
already.
we just covered Black Mirror as part of the Major Issues podcast, and that was the last Dick Grayson Batman story. But yeah, this is no joke. This is no. I am not a hype beast. I am not here to pretend to like a book because one of my favorite characters is in it. This is exciting. This is it makes you feel like you're a part of it. Everyone has the same questions and everyone's trying to jump to the same conclusions. But we're all at the same level. And the it's I can never pronounce his name. Nick
Dragata.
Dragata. Nick Dragata, his art, and just the absolute, all pun intended, ridiculousness of some of these designs because they're so in your face. Not in like an edgy way, just like in an absolute way, like undeniable is what I'll say. The suit
Yeah.
is undeniable. His Bruce is undeniable. And when we got some images of what his Batmobile is about to be, absolutely undeniable. Um, and then I gotta talk about my man. Scott Snyder held my hand through the New 52 when it came to Batman. Quite
Hmm.
literally. He carried me through a 10 volume run, from the beginning to the end that helped me grow my love for the Bat family. Then I went over to stuff like Batman Eternal, Batman and Robin Eternal. Um, I read his run All Star Batman. Yeah,
Hmm.
All Star Batman.
Oh, sorry,
Uh,
Batman. Yeah.
yeah, All Star Batman. One of the first major events that we covered here was Metal. We went on to cover Death Metal. We covered his entire Justice League run, which is
Just
like a 50 issue run, and it was heavy because it had a was it Primordia, whatever her name is,
yeah.
Perpetua,
Perpetua. Yeah, yeah,
Perpetua.
yeah.
Um, so I this man knows how to build. This man knows how to world build. He knows how to start with nothing. It reminds me of the in Iron Man 3 when everything got blown up and he picks up the screwdriver
Yep.
because he's about to just start building again. This is
That's
Scott
it.
Snyder again.
Hmm.
And he has gone to great lengths, and so have other creators underneath this absolute imprint to say that they've kind of been giving, carte blanche, like they could do whatever the hell they want on this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's kind of what has, who would have thought this creative freedom is kind of what has made them excited to work for DC and write these books because they have an autonomy about them. So again, this is not a drill. I'm not here to be like, oh, this is the next whatever. But Absolute Batman to me feels like a moment. It feels like an event. And behind it will come Absolute Wonder Woman, Absolute Superman, and God, some of the things that they announced at New York Comic Con when it came to the Absolute Universe. I am again. It feels like, and I assume you would have to tell me. This feels like them realizing that they can fix just little things, little things about these characters, and kind of represent them in a more modern sense, which I would assume is what Ultimates was when it first came out in 2000 and what one
Yeah.
2002 for Spider-Man and stuff like that.
2001. Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
wasn't
No,
drastic changes like oh, Spider-Man has no arms now or whatever.
no.
Little things that they changed, and all of a sudden they became instantly more relatable or instantly more
Right.
cool or instantly more modern, which this is a very, very, very old medium, extremely old medium. Do you realize in like 10-ish years, 15 definitely, we're hitting 100 years on Superman. 100 years. Johnny Appleseed at that point. You
Right.
know?
I mean, I recently Batman, I believe, hit 85
Yeah.
years, and I
Yep.
was I was telling someone about Batman Day, and they were like, and somebody kind of brushed it off, and I sit there and goes, you know how many things have come and gone, and Batman has been around for 85 years.
Not to slander the man, but Martin Luther King has a day. Batman was before and after. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Bonkers.
We take it for granted how ingrained these characters are a part of our culture.
Yeah.
We do. I mean, you can play. I recently wrote my first review and put it up there because in seeing that Superman movie about Christopher Reeve, it just hit me like, wow. And then everybody knows that theme music,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
hear that theme music and you go Superman, and
Hmm.
even if you don't know his name, you know Christopher
The
Reeve's
imagery.
face.
Hmm.
It's part of the culture. So when people say stuff like comic books for kids, it's just like it's for everybody.
Yeah.
It's American. It's as American as apple pie. In Europe, in certain countries in Europe, comic books are called I want to say I think it was the fifth or the ninth art.
Ah,
Like
interesting.
they give it that special title because they recognize, hey man, this is serious stuff. It's maybe a little out there, but it's taken more seriously. Here
Eh,
it's like
Yeah.
seeing like a kid's game, and it's not. And I think the last couple of years, especially with the popularity of the movies and the shows, people are realizing, yeah, this isn't just for kids.
Yeah. And the biggest thing is, like said again, with somebody that is so tried and true, like Batman, it would take a real cool or original take on the character to not have people just spit it out. Because people hate changes, especially hate
Right.
changes to long established characters. So the fact that the first one came out and people are not like, and then it's actually getting praised says a lot about this initiative. But again, because I dig them, it says a lot about Scott Snyder to me because it takes a lot
Yep.
to be able to dismantle. You need to know a car to be able to dismantle the car and then put it back together and it still run.
Yeah.
And that's basically what he's doing with the entire character of Batman. Is he's taking it
Exactly.
apart and he's taking away parts that you didn't even realize the car didn't need. Still runs. As a matter of fact, it runs better now. We didn't need this billionaire thing, weight on his hand and foot
Right.
kind of stuff. And I think that I'll give a little a minor spoiler. I think one of the most interesting parts of this new part of Batman is they're alluding to this idea that his rogues gallery will be people that he's known since he was a child. So there's no
Ooh.
longer like talking about like friends, because they're all street kids. They're all,
Right.
poor
Right.
street kids. So it's no longer like, oh, I'm just beating up this weird guy with question marks on his face. It's like, no, he sat next to me in second grade. Like I know his
Right.
mom.
Right. Right. Right.
You
So
know,
like
and
all the villains are going to be like a Harvey Dent kind of person, somebody
yeah,
he worked with at first, and now they're
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Ooh.
And that changes the dynamic of everything.
Right.
It's no longer a rich man karate chopping poor people in the street, as they said in Lego Batman. I always laugh at that line there. And so yeah, Absolute Batman, people, check it out. And and another spoiler alert, my other two picks are going to be Batman adjacent.
Yeah. And even though I don't think either of the other books are on the list. Wonder Woman, Absolute Wonder Woman is fantastic. Check it out, guys.
And we also have to talk about, because we talk, and I know I'm being a bit long with this pick, but we also often talk about at the end of these stories, like supporting your local comic book, your local comic book stores, and purchasing this stuff. Some of these things are going to second print. They're already sold the hell out. So it's like, this is not this again. This is not just like, oh, this is a cutesy little book that I hope does well. It's like, no, this is a tidal wave is coming.
Yeah.
All this stuff is gonna come crashing. So we're just telling you
Yep.
to get your surfboard out, man. Hang with us.
That's it. For real. Enjoy. And speaking of just surfing, we've talked about this book in the past also, and it's part of another universe that is just blowing up. And on coming back is Ultimates #5 by Dennis Camp and Juan Frigeri.
For Jerry.
I believe that's how you say his name.
Hmm.
I've been talking about the Ultimate Universe since before Ultimate Spider-Man #1. Just knowing when you had a guy like Jonathan Hickman and Marco Cicchetto doing that book, and then seeing what they were doing, what it was leading up to, and now honestly, I'm almost more excited about Ultimates because of what Dennis Camp is doing over there with the way he's using the Maker and bringing out these characters in different ways, right? We just talked about that with Batman and now Wonder Woman and Superman, all that Absolute Universe stuff. What he's doing with this new Ultimates team, that you have this a slightly new take on Captain America, this crazy, immature, humble Tony Stark, this Ant-Man and Wasp that like actually seem to have a good relationship.
Yeah.
And now with #5, we're getting introduced to a brand new Hawkeye,
Yeah.
and he's an indigenous, Native American Hawkeye who is not necessarily going to be on the Ultimates. He's just kind of doing his own thing, and he's going to be like, I hate that this is an old reference. He's going to be like the Shadow of Final Fantasy VI, with the character who shows up, kind of helps you do a side quest or helps you do a main mission, and then he's like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah.
I got to I got to go back to doing my thing with my dog over here. This is looking crazy interesting to me because it's one thing. A lot of people say this is pandering. This is feeding that minority crowd.
God
Sometimes it
forbid.
is, or right, or God forbid, right? But when it's done well, it's done amazingly well.
Yeah.
And Dennis Camp is killing it on Ultimates right now to the point it's not just filling in a blank. It's elevating the blank. I mean, hey, look at this. And it's Ultimates. It's drawn beautifully. The covers on these books are just amazing. The interiors are amazing, and Dennis Camp is hitting buttons.
Yeah.
Because we just put out today on our Facebook what's coming. I believe in issue like #8.
Yeah.
Just, about like the prison
Real industrial system. Yeah, basically.
the industrial prison system,
Yeah.
which a lot of people know about. A lot of people know about this stuff, but no one wants to talk about. And Dennis
Yeah.
Camp is saying, it's in your face, man. I'm
Yeah.
putting it in your face. So that's what he's doing so well, because I've said it before. Check out, 20th Century Men, where he puts war in people's faces. And now he's doing it on a Marvel book.
It's very interesting that you
Check
saw
this book
no
out.
pushback on the female Hulk because people weren't paying attention. There's no outragey, clickbaity headlines of, oh, woke Marvel made no, like an indigenous person who got screwed over because some company left a bunch of gamma poison, to like things that we've done to people, things
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
So like you were saying, it's constantly bringing in these real life elements. I will say, and this might be hyperbolic, we are in the 10th month of this year. I think Ultimates #4 was my favorite thing I read this year. Ultimates
I
#4 gave me an emotional reaction that I didn't think I had for characters that I rarely have emotional reactions for. I'm not a big Reed Richards guy, you know?
I am.
Oh,
I
so that must
am.
have killed you.
Oh, Like
I'm about to
just the
go to
fact that the maker the last couple years has gotten so much respect. Like, the character was created, I believe, by Bendis almost 20 years ago now.
yeah,
But he was in the
yeah,
Ultimate Universe, and it was almost like a joke. Like, look, he made an evil Reed Richards. And only I feel like Bendis and real comic book fans like Jonathan Hickman realized how terrifying that is. That he said, I'm gonna make this dude the villain of Secret Wars, which I
yeah,
don't know if you guys know is a movie that's coming out soon. They've
yeah.
announced.
It is. I've heard
And
rumors.
said, I'm gonna make this person the crux of my Ultimate Universe. Because there's truly nothing more frightening than a Reed Richards gone bad. This is
Right.
it's absolutely terrifying. Terrifying.
And to
And
have
now
him
he's
as your
doing
antagonist
this
of
thing.
your book, yeah, now you have oftentimes they play too much with this idea of like the anti-hero, right? It's like, okay,
Mhm.
Magneto's the big bad of the X-Men book, but do I really hate him? He's a Holocaust survivor. He's been through his share of shit. And on occasion, he stood up for mutant liberation and children. You know, there's none of that with the Maker. He's an absolute jerk who will torture people to get his ends. To the world, I mean, in a world where there's a buzzword like narcissist out, someone who only sees it their way and is only going to do it their way, that's all Reed Richards is, and everybody else be damned. I mean, that's all the
Right.
Maker is, and everybody else be damned. And so I am stoked for issue 5 because of where issue 4 left us. Oftentimes when it comes to these series, it's just like television. Maybe the pilot hooks you and you're in from day one. Maybe it takes 2 or 3 episodes. Maybe it takes the introduction of a new character. To me, it took the backstory of that Reed Richards, the Doctor Doom of that universe, for me to be like, oh, okay, we're playing with the big boy toys. Like this is just a new coat of paint on everything. This is pathos. This is emotion. This is well thought out. I think very similarly to Scott Snyder, Hickman has the pen and he's created this world. I think it's a testament to Dennis that he's able to fill in this corner of the Ultimate Universe so well.
Mhm.
And he's killing it. It's in a world where many people can think that they have had their fill with Marvel. It's everywhere. um, this is still new. This is still refreshing, and it's still
Right.
gotten everybody talking. Because what I think it does well, and the same thing with the Absolute Universe in a way, and I've said this 500,000 times, it really messes with your emotions or with your expectations. It tests your comic book knowledge. If you're like what's something, if they were to introduce Wanda Maximoff, kind of waiting for Petro. Maybe there's no
Right.
Petro. There might not even be a
Right.
Petro. Maybe Petro died
Right.
years ago. You know, maybe Petro's the witch and Wanda's the speedster. All your preconceived notions are off the table
Right.
in these universes, and I think that makes it such more of an exciting read because it almost teases you in your knowledge. Oh, you think you know? You think you know where this is going? Okay, oh,
Mhm.
we'll show you.
It's the rated R aspect.
Oh yeah,
You,
totally.
you think you think you know it, but you
Uh,
don't.
Roddy Piper. Once you think you know all the questions, I change the answers.
There it is. It
Uh,
works. And this sandbox, guys, it's I think pretty much everyone is now almost at issue 6, or if not past it.
mhm,
So before you're too far past, hop on these books.
yeah,
Hop on these books.
definitely. And to some people, change can be frightening. It can be quite scary. All these people taking new mantles, joining new teams, new universes, new bad guys. Sometimes you just want something a bit traditional. You want something a little bit a recipe you recognize, if you will. And if you want to talk about chicken soup for the soul, coming out on October 16th, we have Batman and Robin Year One. Mark Waid, baby. Mark Waid getting on a book, art by Chris Samney. The solicitation says in Batman and Robin Year One, while Bruce Wayne adjusts to the realities of adopting orphan Dick Grayson, a mysterious new crime boss called the General has come to Gotham to claim the city by disrupting and destroying its other mobs. But what is his connection to Two Face? Batman and his new sidekick Robin are out for answers, but it'll take everything they have to navigate both sides of their relationship as father and son and dynamic duo with Dick Grayson's present and future hanging in the balance. What I like about this is that I feel like this is also a again, I wouldn't call it problematic, but people have a really odd opinion of this whole just kid on the street. His parents died, so I just took him in, and then he's my ward. And the comics at the time when this happened weren't very expository. He was just there. That he's now the sidekick. You don't really care about what he's thinking at this moment, or what even what Batman's thinking at this moment. They kind of became equals, like a Sherlock and Holmes kind of
Mhm.
situation, and nothing else was thought about. Well, we won't think about it again. And then the first big, I would say, like moment comes when he's like, like when he almost gets benched,
Mhm.
because then that automatically changes the dynamic of their relationship. But I want to say that this book is going to dive into the other little spats, the other little misconceptions or misunderstandings, because they couldn't have been a one-on-one, like a instantly well-oiled machine from the get. This
No.
is a circus child that doesn't know you from a hole in the wall. I want to see those growing pains. I want to see how they do become the dynamic duo. How and where that starts from. And Mark Waid is an incredible storyteller who has a deep love and affection for these comics and these characters that have been around forever. We've seen it before, so I'm really looking forward to Batman and Robin Year One.
Yeah, no, you are absolutely right. I've already picked up this issue myself. Mark
So it's
Wade,
another sold out one in most places.
yeah, you hear the name Mark Wade, and for me anyway, I think of Kingdom Come. I think of his Flash run. I think of some of his Marvel work that is not as good. I feel like he cares more about DC, which is fine because to me, it's funny. As much as I'm more of a Marvel guy, DC has more of those. That's a great story. That's a great story. Kingdom Come to me is like on par with Watchmen, where you give somebody Watchmen to read. I don't care if you never like comic books, read Watchmen.
Right.
Kingdom Come falls in that same line where you don't have to know comic books at all. Here is this perfectly written 4-issue miniseries and beautifully drawn by Alex Ross,
Yes.
and you give it to them and go, enjoy this story. Don't worry about the fact that there's Superman, there's Batman, whatever. You basically know them. Read the story because the story in the end is not even really about superheroes. It's about
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
and that's what Mark Wade gets. That's why Absolute Power is so amazing, and that's why what he's doing is so great, and that's why doing a story about what's really going to be about Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson, like you said, having to learn to be partners is going to be fantastic. And then Chris Samney is a great artist because he's known for doing stories that are meant to be old timey stories.
Yeah.
Because he can
He captures
he's like a
almost like the
Darwin.
Darwin Cook sort
I
of.
was
Is that what
you
you're saying?
beat me too. I was about to say Darwin
Yeah,
Cook. I was about to say
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
And God rest his soul. Darwin Cook's no longer with us.
Right.
We have Chris Samney, and Chris Samney has done books like this where he did a Thor book where he did the same thing, and I can't remember other books, but where his style has lent itself to making it look like a classic story,
Yeah.
and they're gonna do it with this. So just like what my man, I hope Aaron Judge does tonight in the World Series. Mark Wade's he's just gonna hit home runs with this book, and this is
Yeah.
gonna be a book like Year One, or even I think Jeff Lemire even did a story like this, a Batman and Robin story like this a couple years ago that explored.
Was it
You know
Robin
what I'm
and
talking about, right?
Batman? I bought it. I
I think
have
yes,
it.
exactly. It was Robin and Batman, where
Yeah.
yes, it was more from the perspective of Robin trying to gain the respect of Batman in an early adventure, and it
Yeah.
literally took like one
Gosh.
encounter with I think Killer
There's so
Croc.
many Robin books.
I don't blame you.
So many.
These are characters that you can constantly go back to, and put in the right hands. I mean, DC is great at making like a third of their line Batman books.
Yeah.
Why? Because it not only does it sell, it sells for a reason. You can make Batman a good character in any aspect, in anything you put him into.
Yeah.
So yeah, Robin and Batman, and now we have this this Batman and Robin story that's going to go back to day one, and a story that we've told many times. And spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. there's already. I think they're already saying that this story
They fit it
re-explains.
in somewhere.
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay.
So
They're
I
taking
won't say
something
anything
from the
more.
actual long form lore of Batman and Robin and basically expanding
Changing it.
upon the story to make it
Mhm.
make more sense. Just real quick, I want you to get on your number three, but I wanted to say because you mentioned Kingdom Come, James Gunn should and probably will do Kingdom Come because he has to talk to the Image Comics era of his day, which was the DCEU. But what I was saying is, boom, Norm McKay, Zack Snyder. If you make Norm McKay Zack Snyder, I'm there day one. Look, look at all this. Look what you've done.
There it is. There,
Uh,
I can see that. I can see that. And another quick note: I'm going to plug Alex Ross. Check out his Kickstarter because he's actually doing a Kickstarter
yes,
for his to do a documentary for Kingdom Come,
bro,
and
he
it's
just
already
released
like
a penguin picture that looks just like fucking Colin Farrell as the
yeah,
penguin. And like
yeah.
I saw that and did that already. Like he already had it on paper. My man Alex Ross, man, he's just again like
He's
sometimes I
been
wonder about like I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for people like him who take this deathly seriously.
yeah, yeah.
Treat this
The
medium as it deserves to be treated.
Kingdom Come was the first series that made me go, "Who wrote this?" I read it off the stands, the
Yeah.
4 issues. So when the first off, the gorgeous cover of number one made me go, "Yeah, I know that guy. He's been in Wizard. I want that art, even though it's a DC book." And then when I finished the first issue, I went to the back, back to the front, and I said, "Mark Wade. I'm gonna remember this name." And that's when I started to keep track of writers and artists because I was like, this what I just read wasn't a comic book. What I just read was a book. It was art.
Yeah.
So and
Yeah.
that's why that was what Kingdom Come came out what 1997, 1996, maybe even before that. I think maybe 94, 95.
I'll double check. I want 96 sounds right because it sounds like
Yeah.
Attitude Era.
But yeah, so
King
check that out guys. While you do your
1996,
research, there
May
you
to
go.
August 1996.
And that was also in the midst of another great Yankee run. We're about to have another one now. Anyway, guys, another great universe that's still almost in its infancy that we had the pleasure of covering at New York Comic Con. Ghost Machine, the Geiger universe, the Jeff Johns. I don't know if you guys know that name. You should. The Jeff Johns universe. Yes, that's the unnamed universe. There we go. That's what he's calling it. Geiger #7 by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. Actually, not Gary Frank on this issue, even though he did the first 6 and even before that. Guys, this universe is just so much fun because it's something completely brand new. You can't even walk into it with any kind of, well, this is supposed to happen now. It's completely different. Geiger is a story of a guy who survives a Cold War bombing, right?
Yeah.
The whole thing starts with the idea that what if the Cold War actually did turn into a hot war, and one of the first places that gets hit is Vegas, and this
Wow.
guy becomes the irradiated man, the glowing man, and all he cares about is his family. He's thinking his family is safe in a bunker. I'm not going to go into that,
Right.
but that's a story that's already done and gone. And now he's literally just wandering the irradiated desert, kind of Hulk style, being like, leave me alone. I'm this irradiated person. I can survive out here. No one can come near me because I'll kill them. My purpose is to sit here and walk around. And he has a 2-headed dog
Oh wow.
that he feeds. But because all great heroes are called upon to do great things, people and things keep coming to him and he has to much like the Hulk, be like, I really just want to be left alone, but I'm also going to help you. The current story arc that just finished, well, the one that just finished, was him literally having to save his dog. Some villain that wants to capture him steals his dog, going, yeah, come get your dog. He's like, I really love my dog.
Right.
It's
Right.
all I have left. So I don't care what I have to do to get him back.
Ooh.
And now we're kicking off the next story arc where is he going to wander into now? What town or what person is going to have the audacity of picking a fight with this guy? And it's also leading into the crossover that's been teased for months with all the other unnamed universe books, the Red Coats, the Junkyard Joe, and my apologies, I can't remember the other one. But this unnamed universe, guys, check out our Facebook, the live video where they break what's coming down with all these great creators, like all these names that Jeff Johns, you could tell Jeff Johns when he left DC was like, when I'm leaving and who's coming with me?
Yeah.
That Jerry Maguire moment.
Yeah.
People left with him. People were like, yo, we believe in you. You know, because Jeff, and again, I hate to say this name, I hate to say it badly because I hate to say whatever, but Dan Didio, Jeff Johns and Dan Didio like broke up.
Yeah, he was kind
Jeff,
of. I mean, I don't want to say pushed out, but given reason to not want to be there anymore. This is a guy who was trying to help them build their TV studio, or in a lot of ways, and did kind of
everything.
help usher in a lot of the good that came because Jeff, from my reading of his stuff, because he also had a tremendous New 52 Justice League run. Um, he cares deeply about these characters, and he's
Yeah.
one of the ones that, again, not in a bad way, but is a fanboy writer. Like he is somebody who loves this medium, and to him, it was an honor to write for the Flash and bring Barry back, and write for Green Lantern and bring back Hal, and to go forward and be able to touch the Watchmen with Gary Frank, and I don't want to be that guy that does the whole WWE, AEW thing where it's like he's kind of done everything he needs to at DC. It sucks the way things ended there, but now he has a brand new landscape. All the tools that he's ever picked up working with these creatives and working with these long form characters and writing some of these stories or some of these very long runs that he did with DC, and now using all that power to create something brand new to give forward so that the next fanboy writer reads those stories and goes, now I want to be a writer. I want to take over Geiger one day in 10 years, in 15 years. Talk about paying it forward to the industry that he loves.
Yep.
A tremendous initiative that he's cultivated over there. And again, like you were saying, the talent list is a who's who at this point. And the fact that this medium does best when creatives are excited. And I guess that's what I'm feeling kind of simmering over the entire industry right now, is an excitement. People are can't wait to get on and write some of the stories that have been stuck in their head that they haven't been given an opportunity to. And yeah, I'm really excited with what comes out of the unnamed universe.
Yeah.
Is that the
Yeah,
official name? The official name is that
yeah,
unnamed, or
it
is he
is.
just
I
saying he
thought
hasn't revealed the name?
no, it's in the book, and
Okay.
it's funny because I almost feel like it's his way of saying, "Screw you, I'm not giving it a name because why? Why
Yeah.
can't it just be whatever?" But I have to give it a name, so unnamed universe. Because when it
Yeah.
first came out, I was calling it the Geigerverse,
Yeah.
and then I look in the back of the book and I'm like, "You son of a bitch, the
Unnamed.
unnamed
The
universe."
unnamed universe.
And all the books are amazing, and now they're even expanding past the Geiger stuff. There
Mhm.
are other books coming out for Ghost Machine, the publishing name of that. I just picked up one. There's just a couple books that are just sounding weird, that are sounding Vertigo-esque, where they're just
Interesting.
telling these very, very weird stories that have these moral qualities on both sides. These ethical decisions.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, this Ghost Machine and what Jeff Johns is doing, these are fun books. Things that are just gonna tell stories that come out of nowhere. They're gonna make you sit and think. They're not just gonna feed you the same stuff we've been getting fed for 70, 80, 90 years. This is fresh and new stuff, and I love it. Did you watch the entire live cast?
I didn't
Because
get to
you
see the
almost,
whole panel.
it's like Jeff already has come out and said, like, these are books that what he hopes comes out of them is that they have bigger numbers than anything at and not numbers sales wise, the actual issue numbers, the 50s
Yeah.
and 60s, 70s, 80s, because he misses that, and a lot of old school comic fans miss that, going to a comic store and being like, yo, I'm picking up issue number 274.
Right,
Because
right.
Marvel and DC just keep rebooting these books,
And
and you're
then
like,
legacy numbers and then rebooting and then legacy
right, you're
numbers.
like, well, what am I? What? How do? and then
It's like,
trying
wait,
to explain to
This was Nightwing 2. Why are we celebrating the 300th issue next week? What's going on here?
right, exactly. And Jeff has already said there ain't going to be none of that, and with Ghost Machine. So if you want to just get a feeling, an old school feeling with these new school writers and talent and artists, pick up Ghost Machine books, guys. And they've got something for everybody. They have horror, they have science fiction, they have action, they have science, they have sci-fi, they have family books. It's crazy what they got going on. So check it out. If you want to jump onto something brand new that you don't have to worry about 80 years of history, Ghost Machine. Check it out.
Awesome stuff.
And like a Geiger.
You're talking about a pretty important start. I want to talk about a pretty important end for my fourth pick. It's Nightwing 118, October 16th. Written by Tom Taylor, art by Chow Felipe, but mostly by renowned of this run, Bruno Redondo. Redondo. This is the end of the Tom Taylor, Bruno Redondo run, award-winning run. I now own every trade paperback but the last one. This is the one that gave us Bitewing. This is the one that did that whole sort of motion comic where they were showing how it was absolutely gorgeous stuff. Tom really knows how to take an inch and really, stretch it for a yard. I've seen him do. I really like the Injustice books. I just like the way that they came out, and I liked the
Deceased.
Yeah, Deceased was great. Is that that's the one where Diana becomes a Green Lantern, right? I think it's Deceased.
I just mostly remember it being the cell phone zombie virus.
Oh yes, the anti-life. The anti-life cell phone zombie virus. But I think it's a thing where Damian becomes Batman. He's still like 10.
Right.
Diana becomes
the Jonathan Kent becomes Superman because
half of them die. Like half of them really do die, and they have to just go immediately. They have to leave with whoever they have left.
First issue, Batman dies. The very first issue, Batman dies. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Screw all your contingency plans, Batman.
He's proven he's great at Elseworld stories, but dare I say, there's no real challenge in an Elseworld story because you can kind of do whatever you want. In doing a long form run on any character, but then Nightwing, someone that was drugged through the mud by guys like Dan Didio that you had just brought up before, who absolutely hated not only Nightwing but sidekicks across the board. My boy was a spy named Grayson. My boy got shot in the head and became Rick Grayson for a while.
That was the worst.
You understand? Agent 13, he's kind of just been like out and about for a while, and he hasn't really gotten his footing. And then I started hearing about this run, and I picked up the first couple issues. I am behind, but I'm glad he got this swan song moment. I'm glad that they're able to do this. So many times runs get cut short for editorial reasons, for major story arcs. Yeah. Events and all that kind of stuff. But I'm glad he gets to bow out with this. And I like Nightwing. I like Dick. Someone's gonna clip that out. And I like the world that they set up for him here. I've heard criticisms that he's not dark enough, but I always saw Dick as the light part of the Batman universe, the one that, despite all the things that happened to him, he came out the way that he did, as opposed to Bruce, who kind of got drugged through the mud as well, and is what he is. But if you want to see an expert end to an expert run, filled with passion, laughs, amazing, not only amazing, I would dare I say trailblazing art by Bruno, pick up Nightwing 118. That's my number 4 pick.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend that as well. I have read a couple random issues. I've seen that motion art, and it's made me go, I got to read this. But because I read so many other things, I'm not totally into DC. I've never dived into it. But because it's been your pick a couple times the last few months, and because I have gained respect for Tom Taylor through his other works like Deceased, Dark Knights of Steel, even he tried to do the same thing with Marvel. He did Dark Ages,
I
but
remember
Marvel,
that.
yeah, it was bad. And I tell you now, it wasn't because Tom Taylor. It was because you could tell Marvel was like, yeah, you can't
Do
be a
this. You
start.
still can't do this. You still can't do that.
Right.
Oh, he's
You could tell he had
Australian. I don't know why I
handcuffs.
didn't know he was Australian.
Tom Taylor doesn't sound Australian to you? Come on, it's definitely an Aussie name.
Tom Taylor.
No,
Yeah,
it's not. No, it's not.
Tom
That
Taylor.
sounds that
Sounds
sounds
like
like he
comic book
lives down the
name.
block.
It sounds like comic
It's
book name. The alliteration:
a
Peter
comic book.
Parker, Tom Taylor.
Yeah. I wonder if it's real name. What if his real name is like Crocodile Dundee? How hilarious would that be?
Yeah. Oh, he
But
was
no,
the one that made John Kent bisexual.
right. Because he's done a lot of things. And you could
Yeah.
tell he loves Jonathan Kent, which let's see how long that goes. But anyway, the
Yeah.
Nightwing run is fantastic. Nightwing is a character that should symbolize hope because that's the fun part talking about Batman and Robin. Nightwing, or when he was Robin, Richard Grayson.
Yes.
I'm
Rick.
not going to talk about how much you like Dick.
Rick. You
Uh,
want to talk about Rick Grayson? Woo!
oh boy, but no, he always was that character, that person that goes, I don't want to go as far down the pit as Bruce. He would see Bruce and go, I love you, I care about you, but I am not. I don't want to be that. Yeah, I wear bright colors for a reason. I'm a happy guy. I don't want to wear the blues and the blacks and the grays. I'm this happy person. I symbolize hope. He purposefully went to a city called Bloodhaven
Yes. To
to
clean
get
it
it
up.
out, to clean it up.
Yeah.
He said, "All right,
Who
Batman, you
sees
got
more
Gotham
mess?
City."
Who looks for more mess? Right? Who says it? Well,
Right.
Gotham's pretty bad, but like, is there any place a little worse? Yeah.
So I this is definitely a run I need to go back and read, and I'm proud of him. But just to quickly side note, this is one of the books that also made me go, "Wow, DC's still cooking," because you get Tom Taylor off the book, but now we got Dan Waters jumping on, and Dan Waters is a fantastic writer. As part of DC All In. So that's what the next issue made me want to read more Nightwing or jump on Nightwing because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, you got Tom Taylor leaving, but then you got Dan Waters jumping on. I gotta read Nightwing.
Yeah.
So DC is just because again, if you just said it, this is a book that Dan Didio was trying to bury
Yeah.
and it survived, and now Jim Lee's like, yo, Dan Waters, are you available? You want to do Nightwing? Yeah, let's do it.
I also, have you noticed in most of like the imagery, like in Absolute Power, all that stuff, they've raised Dick's status. He's right there up there with everybody else.
Yep.
He's a Justice League member. He's not just the head of the Teen Titans. They
Oh,
haven't
a panel I've been meaning to share is where Dick gives a speech during Absolute Power, and the best part of the speech was at the end where Batman rolls in and is just like, "It's my boy."
Uh-huh.
Like it was like a father moment, like
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
and I was
Let these
in tears
characters grow.
as a dad. It was just like, oh yeah, like that's what you anticipate with your kids. Like, yes, my boy's doing this thing.
It's important to let
So
these characters grow because their readers grow.
that's right.
And I'm just glad that Nightwing was able to grow in this respect. But what do
So
you got over there for number 4?
number 4. Speaking of growing and changing, Transformers number 13. It's an easy book to just keep going back to
Yeah.
because it is so good. And even when it changes, both literally and figuratively and artistically,
Mhm.
it's still a good book. We still have, thankfully, Daniel Warren Johnson writing the book, but now we have a new artist. And I apologize, I lost my note on the new artist's name, but he's still killing it. And the best part is, this is a new story arc where now we're getting deeper into the Decepticon lore. Because at the end of the last story arc, the Autobots save the day. But even in saving the day, they they're they're still in a hole. So now we're looking at the Decepticons again, like, well, what do they got cooking in the meantime? What's the next diabolical plot?
Yeah.
And we get the return of a character that we thought was dead, but we knew wasn't dead. It's a transform where they can be rebuilt. The
Oh
matrix of
yeah.
leadership or something resurrects them, and we totally accept it because where that we accept that they're robots. So in some way, shape, or form, they could be rebuilt, remodified. Unicron can show up and reformat them.
Yeah,
So we have this character
it's all
coming
code
back.
and wires.
That's it. That's it. There's no soul, but they call it a spark. That's
Okay,
fine.
the all spark.
The all spark. So in this book, we get the return of a villain and the train. This is another the Energon universe, right? We got the Ultimate Universe, we got the Absolute Universe, we got the Energon universe, we got the Ghost Machine Unnamed Universe. All these universes, they realize, yo, we got to build universes because the film and TV industry, they can't do it. So the comic book industry
Yes.
once again has to show them how to do it. And this Energon universe with Transformers, with G.I. Joe, and all the stuff on the side of it, Void Rivals, it's percolating, man. It's percolating.
Is it
It's just percolating.
is it Jason Howard?
Jason Howard. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
It
And
said
he's
Mike
a great
Spicer, but I know
artist.
he was doing covers.
Yes, Mike Spicer. But I think the person still doing the covers is Daniel Warren Johnson or Jorge Corona. Both. I mean, we talked about Daniel Warren Johnson in the past with Do a Power Bomb.
Oh, you want to talk about
a
a comic book click Dirt Sheet Radio crossover? We gotta get his ass and talk about comic books and wrestling because he's he knows both worlds very well.
both worlds, man. And Jesus, man.
I will say you recommended this book to me. I now have the first trade. I'm about halfway through it. I just stopped it because I got busy, but I was hooked on it when I was reading it. Tons of emotion when you consider these are toys that you smash together in a lot of different ways. But this, what would you say comparable like this and Transformers One? Do you think it has sort of the same?
Very much so. Very much so.
I gleaned that from a distance, but I've not watched Transformers One yet.
Oh, it's amazing. The only thing with this is I would say Transformers immediately makes you realize, oh, this isn't your kids' Transformers. This
Yeah,
isn't
war.
a
It's
1984
war.
cartoon. It's war.
Yeah.
This is war. Transformers 1 immediately for me, even in the trailers, I was like, oh my God, they're really bringing it back to the kid roots. So this isn't for me. This isn't for my kids. This is for the current generation of kids, whatever.
Mhm.
But in watching Transformers 1, I go, oh, this movie wants you to grow up real fast. The movie starts, it's a kids movie. And by the end of it, you're sitting there going, well, this is a movie about the Bolshevik Revolution. You know,
Right, yeah,
it's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And so I recommend Transformers 1. I recommend these books because this is art, guys. This is beautiful storytelling. This makes you realize if you're a veteran, I've shown this to people, including you,
Yeah.
who have gone through war, and there are literal panels where no word is said. And I've had guys go, yo, this hits.
No, 100%,
You
yeah.
know? You know, and I'm like, right. So this, like Daniel Warren Johnson, he's just able to, I don't know how he pulls it out. He these little
Especially from
panels,
incredibly unemotional characters. Like they're literally robots.
you know.
But he still
I
manages
shared
to
that
put out the
one
emotion.
panel. I shared that one panel a few months ago where Optimus is thinking he's about to die,
Yeah.
and he's like he's having that moment of, okay, I'm going to look out into the universe and embrace my death. And it's like, but you're a robot, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
And he just has
but
these
you're still
grandiose
you're still
ideas
you're
about life
right.
and yeah. I mean, he
Yeah,
he stomps on an animal. Was it a deer?
a deer, a deer.
And instantly regrets it. Like just watching him go through all of that, and it really
Mhm.
does. It almost exposes our bigotry towards what you were just saying, what can be perceived as children's properties, right? All it takes is a writer like this to be like, oh, for children, okay, watch this. and to be fair, a lot of the stuff that we grew up with was challenging as well. When you look at some of the Batman the Animated Series stuff that was going on, like there was some really deep stuff in some of that stuff, and they trusted us to, as children, to discern the differences and not set ourselves on fire like the Human Torch, but sit and be like, okay, well, this is good and this is bad, and we should trust our kids a little bit more. And we should trust these mediums of every time a good Pixar movie comes out, people are like, animation, and it's like we've been doing this every year. Can we just respect animation off the rip? Can we stop having such low expectations to then just come to the thing and be like, and this is another good one. It's like they can all be
Yeah,
that. They can all be that if you treat them all that way, you know?
right.
Sorry, a little bit of a soapbox there,
No,
but
trust me. I've been saying that for years. Like I remember when Beauty and the Beast, the what the 95 Disney one, 95,
mhm.
96 Disney movie, it got nominated for best movie. People lost their minds. And then they started having best animated movie
Yeah,
Oscar.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
then
yeah.
just a few years ago, I think one of the Pixar movies, they said, okay, we'll make you one of like the 12 best movie picks. And that was the only
A
reason why, because
nominee,
they made
yeah.
it like nominated. But nobody expects it to win. But they're slowly recognizing how great animation is,
Yeah.
especially with other studios that are elevating it. Like, help me with this, the Miyazaki,
Yeah.
all his movies, the Boy and the Heron,
Oh,
Spirited Away,
Ghibli.
Studio Ghibli, yes, all those movies, to the point where like AMC is having recognition for those. Like, hey, we're putting this stuff back in theaters to make you realize, yo, Princess Mononoke is not just a cartoon;
I could be
it's
wrong.
a
I
great
think some
movie.
of them are in the Criterion Collection.
Yeah, some of them are. Some of them
We-
are because they're that good. And I wouldn't be surprised, give it another 10, 15 years, where these Pixar movies are going to move into that. The Inside Outs, the Toy Story 3.
Yeah,
I would
Wally.
definitely Wally, definitely. So Finding Nemo. I watched Finding Nemo the other day for the first time in years, and I was like, holy, I knew this was good then. I'm watching it now, like, wow, this is just
Yeah, and
amazing.
like when you like start to see like the helicopter parenting, and what happens when you kind of let them go, and all of that. Yeah, it is the movie that showed me, and again, no children, that all of your life as a parent is kind of just crossing your fingers and hoping that you keep your children happy and safe. And sometimes in keeping them safe, you're not keeping them happy. So, and you kind of just got to reckon with that.
Yep.
What does that mean? So yeah, these they're not flippant with these characters that Daniel Warren Johnson is using, or this lore. If anything, they're adding to it. They're increasing
Mhm.
people's enjoyment of it by diving into the deeper stories. And the thing is, all these stories, whether they're in Superman, whether they're in Transformers, whether they're about aliens or robots, they're human stories. That's the reason why they
Mhm.
work. They're stories that
Right.
actual humans have went through on this planet. So, terrific stuff. My last pick is a book I bought. It was kind of one of those judge a book by its cover. It is Blade number one, Red Band, written by Brian Hill with CF. Is it is it villain? I just double checked CF Villa. Um, Again, I was talking about this before, and I'll read the synopsis. A new dawn for the Daywalker. For years, Blade has been the deadliest vampire hunter in the Marvel Universe, with an arsenal of wooden stakes, silver bullets, and razor bats at his command. Few have known the taste of vengeance and blood like Blade, but after harrowing events of Blood Hunt, what's left of Marvel's most infamous vampire? Did any of the vampire within Blade survive? Did any of the man? Find out here at the skin-searing dawn of a bloody new Blade saga. I have been saying that Blood Hunt is the biggest Blade story in recent history. That's just factual. It's not even an opinion.
Ever. He's never had a event where he was the center of it. So yes.
Yeah, and now we have this run, and I theorize that the Marvel itself was probably having some trouble coming up with content for Blade, because we've been sitting around a Blade announcement that I think started in 2020, if not 2021, and it's kind of been stagnant there. But I can't help but think that this is, first of all, the fact it's like you hear that they're making a Blade movie, and you're like, okay, and then you're like, and it's confirmed to be R. Automatically, it's the right flavor, right? Automatically, you don't know nothing else, but you know it's the right flavor. The fact that this is a red band book, a more mature book that doesn't mind the gore and the blood, mine's is still polybagged, is it, it's an excitement, or an exciting addition. I really feel like this is gonna kind of flesh out the character more for more modern readers, give them something to latch onto, but most likely give the MCU, Marvel studio, something more to latch onto when it comes to this character. And it's it's funny to watch the bricklayers lay the bricks as they walk forward. It's a very rare occurrence, but I can't help but think that that's what's happening here. Um, the more you start seeing Marvel like create new books or create events with characters that only really hung out in the MCU, and I'm like, like it's obvious what you're doing here. You're trying to spin more story. But Blade deserves his time in the sun. It's going to be a crazy amount, crazy in the next couple of years. Blood Hunt was this year. This is Blade number one. We got the Blade video game coming out soon from Insomniac that they had teased. That will come out way longer than the movie does, but then eventually, one day, maybe, sort of, kind of, we get the movie, and we got the return of Wesley Snipes as Blade this year. So, with his spooky season, it's October. I'm not trying to ice skate uphill, and I'm going with Blade number one, the Red Band. Again, out October 9th.
I I was a big fan of the recent Blade run by Brian Hill, and I
Yeah,
love the fact that it led into this fantastic event that a lot of people slept on, and now they're reading and going, "Wow, this was actually a pretty cool event," and it's
yeah,
having lasting impressions on the rest of the Marvel universe. And I was hoping this was the thing that was going to elevate the MCU Blade.
yeah. I mean, when you think about it, again, like the idea, DC had just the DC versus vampires. So I was sitting there going, like, okay, what's Marvel gonna do when it comes to vampires? And then you're like, oh yeah, by the way, Blade's the antagonist, and I'm like, what the hell? What do you mean? Our boy Eric Brooks is on the bad side. Is he actually trying to ice skate uphill? And it put us in a very weird predicament in the Marvel universe as someone who was a former hero now all of a sudden is a villain. But it takes careful planning and careful writing to get all that stuff off the ground. And yeah, you're the one who tipped me off that any of that was going to be worth a damn. So I got to thank you for this, picking up Blade Red Band number one. Uh, it's on my radar because of major issues, because of Blood Hunt being on. And we would have covered Blood Hunt if it wasn't for those pesky kids and that damn hurricane that damn near took out all of our power. But yeah, sorry, you were saying?
Yeah, so um no, it's Blood Hunt was fantastic. It it really brought in a couple old stories, or by today's standards, old stories, and now leads into this new run that I picked up the issue. I've opened the poly bag, sir.
It
Break it open,
won't
break it
age
open.
badly in there, will
It
it?
whatever, man. CGC doesn't care.
That's fair.
But no, the first issue I've already read. It's fun. It's Blade, and like I said before, the only other event that I ever remember Blade being at the center of, and he was the villain even in that. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. He was. Do you know about this?
I know. I'm it's not
He
coming
was
to mind.
he starts he realizes to end all of the, because that's really, not only does he really want to kill all vampires, he wants to end all spiritual, like demons and everything. Because do you remember a group called the Night Stalkers?
That sounds familiar.
He was on a team called the Night Stalkers, which was also affiliated with Ghost Rider and all those spirits of
Yeah. Like almost
vengeance and
like
all
a
that stuff.
Midnight Sun kind of.
Midnight Suns thing, yes, sir. So he realizes, oh, I'm gonna steal all the supernatural powers from these heroes so I can take out everything, and he becomes Switchblade.
That's terrible.
Great 90s stuff, man. Great 90s stuff.
Switchblade. Gosh.
Switchblade. And he becomes, it looks great when I hadn't seen it in a long time, and when doing my research, I was like, oh, I remember this. This was crazy. He looks like a demon, and he has Ghost Rider's motorcycle, and he has, Johnny Blaze's shotgun, and he's got all these crazy weapons,
All
you
right.
know,
All
and,
right.
and he looks
Switchblade.
amazing. Switchblade, man, it
I'm
was
looking at
great.
him right now. He's
Yeah,
yeah, he's
it's
kind of
like 90s in
ridiculous.
all its glory, man.
Switchblade. That's so funny.
I forget what the event was called,
He
but it
is
was great.
drooling
And
all
now,
over himself.
exactly, he's got the venom. He's got the venom demon tongue going crazy. It's great stuff. But now, having finished Blood Hunt and now going, I was so happy that they said, okay, Brian, you can continue your run now, because Jed McKay wrote the events of Blood Hunt. So I was a little worried about that, but they still played honor to the character, and now they continue. He gets to continue his mission with Brian Hill and Hill's run. Guys, I recommend it. It's just 12 issues. You should be able to easily find those in back issue bins, or just pick up the two trades.
That's why I ended up
Great,
grabbing
great.
this because people were like, Unquestionably, if you read those 12, you know that this is the next. You know this is something
Yeah,
you got to have. I was
yeah,
like, oh, I don't. I got FOMO. I was like, I need to go pick up that
yeah,
issue.
yeah. Because guys, one of the reasons that books are harder to find nowadays is because people aren't buying the comics. Support the industry. Support your local comic shops. Don't
Because then they will
always
print
wait for the
more.
trade.
They'd print more because they. Oh yeah, like
Exactly.
you said, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, speaking of Jim Lee still has the record for most issues sold of a single book, which was X-Men #1, which sold 1 million plus copies. Around that time, afterwards, most books sold, 500,000 copies, 600,000 copies. That was like normal. Nowadays, the industry flexes if they sell 50 or 60,000 copies of a book.
Yeah, because they won't buy in more than that because it's
Right.
not worth it to them
Right.
overall. I also want to
It's
say
all based
Midnight
on
Massacre.
orders.
Midnight
Midnight
Massacre
Massacre.
is the name of the
Thank you.
story.
Yeah.
Blaze's desire to destroy supernatural enemies led him to be tricked into using the Darkhold. As Switchblade, he attacked a number of supernatural beings and stole their power in Midnight Massacre. Eventually, Blade was stopped, and another page of the Darkhold was used to just restore things back to normal. Damn book.
There it is. It's
Always
causing a
messing.
little bit of problems, I think, in a show or something, right?
Yeah, yeah, all over, man, all over. Return it back to
Yeah.
sender, please do.
Yeah. Right.
But talk about a good book.
Um.
You got a good book you want to talk about? So this is
Well, I have a
evil.
great book I want to talk about. It brings back another universe or staple, guys. A book that's already been hitting the shelves for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
If you read Nice House by the Lake by James Tynion the fourth,
Yes,
and
yes, yes, yes,
I cannot remember the
yes.
artist on that one, but they continue their story in what's called Nice House by the Sea. Issue number 4 is about to hit shelves, and DC decided, hey, we're gonna give you old school fans something juicy to bite into. We're gonna slap Vertigo
Yeah,
on the
man.
cover of this book. If you guys know the old school DC, but you probably know a lot of the stuff that Vertigo produced back in the day. Vertigo is where we got Watchmen. Vertigo is where we got V for Vendetta. Vertigo,
Constantine,
Constantine. We got Swamp Thing. We got
Sandman,
Sandman. We got 100 Bullets. We got
100 bullets. Yep,
Scout.
yep, yep, yep,
We
yep, yep.
got all these great books, and I can go on and on and on and on and on about what Vertigo produced. But then somewhere along the lines, like DC under a certain guy whose name I don't want to mention again.
Right, right,
Well,
right.
nah, we don't need that adult stuff because we want to make DC for everybody. We want to make DC for kids. We want to make fun family movies. Yeah, Vertigo went away. Over the last couple of years, DC has said, let's get back into this adult thing. And they've given us Black Label. But still, with Black Label, still not quite satiating that Vertigo taste. So just recently at New York Comic Con, Jim Lee came out and handed the reins to James Tynion IV and said, with your newest issue of Nice House by the Sea, which continues the story from Nice House by the Lake, he said, we are now going to call these books Vertigo.
Yeah,
He's also going to re-release.
retroactively.
Yes, he's also going to go back and release the first 3 issues of Nice House by the Sea with the DC Vertigo imprint. They're going to be re-releasing. They haven't said which ones. They're going to be re-releasing classic Vertigo books, maybe even not so classic ones, just to give those creators their time in the sun. And we're going to start getting new Vertigo books. But it all
Yeah,
starts here. And I highly recommend this. I don't want to spoil almost any of it because we've never really talked about it here. Maybe a lot of people haven't even heard of this book, Nice House by the Lake and not Nice House by the Sea. I'm going to keep
it
saying
has
it
a
until
horror movie title.
yes, it's horror, but it's also science fiction.
Interesting. The artist
It's
you were looking for was Alvaro Martinez.
Alvaro Martinez. Thank you. Yes, and it's I don't want to spoil it because it's something different. It's not Batman. It's not Superman. It's not anyone, and that's what Vertigo is known for. Vertigo is known for bringing in creators and stories that you don't need to know anything about those big characters. It's its own thing, right? Watchmen. No one knew any of those Watchmen characters.
Yeah,
Sandman is here's Dream and here's Death and here's all the family. 100 Bullets. Here's basically a crime family. Get to know them. All these just great books that you don't need to have any connection to. And it was DC at the time saying, "We're going to give you literature.
Yeah.
Here's literature," and that's what they're continuing to do with this now. So thank you, Jim Lee. Thank you, James Tiny and the Fourth.
It's ironic
This is
because I think you will agree with me in saying multiple different studios have tried to come up with their own versions of Vertigo. Multiple different publishers or even writers have said this is going to be the next Sandman, or this
yep.
is going to be the next Constantine, or this is going to be the next Swamp Thing, has the gothic elements, etc. and so forth. What a way to put your bat pole on the table than to say, not only are we going to do All In, not only are we going to do Absolute, but we're bringing back Vertigo. We're covering all our bases here. Again, having your cake and eating it too. And I saw how much fervor this announcement garnered, both the continuation of this story and the idea that Vertigo is coming back. Like I said again, guys, it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time to be a comic reader, and it's an even more exciting time to be a comic shepherd as you kind of just walk, novice readers through the reads and let them pick whatever flower that they see that they think is the prettiest, because they're all good. It's all good stuff out here. This, like I said, this might have been one of the most challenging episodes of Major Previews to do because there's so much good, to the point that we so happened to have one book that was the same,
Eating.
and you were like, "Yeah, okay, I'll just pick one of the other 10 books that I was gonna pick anyway." It wouldn't have been hard if either one. Yep, if either one of us would have had to redo our list, we could have came up with, I think, both of us 5 other books. And hopefully, guys, fingers crossed, it just gets better. Hopefully, this time next year, Major Previews of October 2025, we'll be talking about how these bastards in Hollywood are ripping off the 2024 issues of stories that just came out. I mean, bro, no, that's like couple 3 years ago. 3 years ago, like what we doing here? What are we doing here?
And not only are they finally doing it, but go figure, they're doing it shitty.
Yeah. Oh, who
So
would
just
thought?
go read the comics.
Who
So
would've
just go
thought?
read the comics.
Yes, yes. Go read the comics, and that's something that we implore on each and every episode of the Major Previews video series. We try to implore that you guys go to the original source of this stuff. Not only is it the only way to get it, in its most organic form, but the energy that permeates through a comic book store is like no other. The people that walk through comic book stores, the conversations that are had in comic book stores are like no other. So go find your people, go find your place, go find your people, go find your book. These are all. None of this is financial advice. don't don't start buying 10 of these books because we said it and you're locking in. You said it was going to be worth $500. No, man. I'm
No.
telling you that these are going to be great stories, and these are going to be stories
Right.
that stand the test of time. It's fun. The comic books has a very fun, volatile sometimes collector's market, but you should be collecting stories. Collect comics if you want to, but also collect stories, good stories
Yeah.
that you could pass on to others, and that's all we hope to do here, is pass this on to you.
That's right.
Got anything else left for the people at home?
Just guys, just keep following us. We have so much to talk about. We're learning this industry day to day, and we're having a blast talking about it. So thank you guys.
Yes, yes. And you can follow us all over social media, facebook.com/comicbookclick, Instagram at comicbookclick, or you can use that hashtag comicbookclick to talk about the newest, hottest, latest and greatest things that come to comic books and comic book media. But if you guys want to help us out, the best way to do so is go to our Patreon, patreon.com/CBC Clubhouse. For as little as 10 cents a month, $3 a day, you can help us keep our lights on here and afford the hardware and software we need to keep providing you guys content free of charge. There was a time about 3-4 years ago where I was maxed out on a podcast. We are now doing a podcast, a video series, daily clips, news out the wazoo, casting, comic panels, movie reviews, comic book reviews. This is only getting bigger. And it's because you guys are charging us up. You guys are getting us to our full potential. And I want to thank you guys so much for that. But follow us where we're going because we're only going up from here. We're only going forward from here. We'll be talking about November previews very, very, very soon. And yeah, I stay tuned for a very, very similarly as all what is it? A rising tide raises all ships. As comics rise to a new height, Comic Book Click will rise to meet it, and hopefully, you fans will be on the other side of that to rise to meet us. But that's all I've got left to say on this one. My name is George Serrano, aka the Don,
I'm Alex Garcia, aka the Cog, happily being a part of the machine.
and this is Major Previews, selecting the previews for October 2024. And always remember that you, yes, you, are worthy. Perpetua.